Hi, this is Russ Benson. I am a Liverpool supporter, and you're listening to Drunkard United Football Show. You all need Jesus.
You know, considering the world is coming to an end, we probably do need a little bit of Jesus in our life, Russ. But fitting that we go ahead and do Liverpool, because we got a little bit to talk about Liverpool today, don't we? A little interesting weekend for them, interesting day for them as well. So, Sammy, you ready to do this?
I am ready to do this.
All right, well then, hey, let's start the show. And I was early again. Fuck off. Hello and welcome to the Drunkard United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I'm your host, Sam Huston, and across the interwaves is my cerebral friend, Samuel Graham. Sammy, how are you?
Not too bad, thanks, buddy. Yeah, we are recording about 15, 20 miles apart.
You know, there is this whole part in the next part where I talk about where we're recording, and I was going to go ahead and cover all that. So this is just the, how are you doing, Sam? Hey, Sam, how are you doing?
I said I was good, thanks.
I do not know why on earth my Siri just started working for some reason.
That's
Production is high today.
Can we mute Siri? That was not under my control.
Yeah, I know. How the fuck me? Okay, well, anywho, we're recording at Studio H. Well, at least 2/3 of us are, just outside the nation's capital. And the other one is about 20 miles up the road in his lovely abode in Baltimore, Maryland. Should you want to check out the show, you can find us on just about any podcast platform. Be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with your friends. And should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. And trust me, fuckers, we need you to contact us. Sam, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. So they can get in touch on all the social medias. We definitely check our DMs. That would be on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at DUfootballshow. And then DUfootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email, kind of old school.
Which Keith seems to be doing a very good job of every week, and nobody else. So we need some emails, people. Reach out. Come on, we're trying to put a show up for you. We need you to add to the endeavor here a little bit, right?
Well, especially when we have fuck all going on.
Right, precisely. All right, so Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirits industry, and we both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, even when we're apart, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. And Sammy, since we are apart, we're each drinking separate things. So why don't you go ahead and go first and tell us what you're drinking?
Yeah, we are drinking separate things for the first time on the show, I might add.
Yeah.
So I have, and I've on the previous Zoom that we did, patio time, last couple of Saturdays, I have my Balblair 15-year-old that I got while we were in England. Still enjoying this lovely bottle.
All right. Anything else you want to say about it? What its alcohol by volume is, where it comes from in Scotland? Is it a Highland? Is it a Speyside?
Why don't you just tell us what you're drinking first?
Normally when I go to you and ask what you're drinking, that normally means I expect you to respond. But that's okay. This isn't the segment that you're normally prepped and prepared and do every fucking week. I am drinking Del Bac, which is a Arizona single malt, and I'm showing it for the people on the Zoom today. And this is kind of interesting. So it's like a normal single malt. It is 100% barley. But instead of using peat smoke, which is what they tend to use in Scotland, they're actually using mesquite smoke. Because that's the prevalent wood in the area. This is their distiller's cut, so it's not cut with any water, barrel proof, as it were. It coming in at 58.2, which is 116.4 proof. This will run you about $60 to $64.99 on the shelf, and a lovely little whiskey, very nice.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah, so mine is a 15-year-old from Balblair, which is a Highland single malt, comes in at 92 proof. This one, as we discussed before, is a 700 milliliter because 750 is an illegal size in England, which is pretty interesting. Runs 62 pounds, which is about $80 US. On the nose, you got honey, gingerbread, and prunes. On the palate, dark chocolate, mango, banana, and spices, which I actually do get the mango and banana, and then the honey up front on the nose, and then a long, mellow, kind of creamy mouthfeel to it.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. And Mel is drinking a little bit of whiskey, and aren't you drinking some vodka too?
I am. I am drinking Rocktown vodka out of Rocktown, Arkansas.
Little Rock, very close.
Shit,
But
whatever.
you almost got it.
It's vodka, and I made my own seltzer since we didn't quarantine with any White Claws.
Uh-huh.
So I'm mixing it with Walmart brand black cherry soda.
Ah, there you go.
I mean, not black cherry carbonated water, sparkling water.
So Mel, we're lucky Mel fucks with the black cherry. Alrighty, kids, let's have a good show.
Let's do it.
Cheers to you, Mr. Graham. There
That
we
one
are.
was a visual
Cheers to you, too.
clink.
All right. Today's word, boys and girls, is furlough. This is what happens for a business and an employee. They can't hold on to their employee, so they let their employee go, and they pay them at 80% of their rate, so that they're still making some kind of money. And the government subsidizes 20% of that, so that they're only really paying 60%. So sounds like a really good idea for companies in a situation like this, because there's going to be a lot of companies that don't survive all of this. Doesn't sound.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, doesn't sound so really good for sports franchises, especially multi-billion-dollar sports franchises. In some cases, it makes sense, which we'll get to. In some cases, they feel a little low rent and expected, and then in another case, it was just flat out embarrassing. And then how they particularly continued to handle it, even more embarrassing.
Yeah.
First guess is who the first people to do it was, and the first guess doesn't count,
Ooh.
Sam.
Ooh.
Who do you think?
Mike Ashley.
Yes, because why wouldn't a man worth $2.5 billion not take advantage of the government's opportunity to pay 20% of his wages to his non-essential staff?
Yeah.
Fucking shit show, man.
Exactly.
So
he's just a piece of shit. I'm sorry. Was I supposed to comment on that?
Yeah, this is called a back and forth, my friend.
Mike Ashley's a fucking piece of shit.
And of course, when you know it, earlier in the week, rumors of another takeover came out. Do you think, Sam, that Mr. Ashley might have put out those rumors of another takeover just to make sure that nobody noticed, hey, I'm going to furlough a bunch of my fucking employees?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, as we record, I have our device here in front of us that we're talking to each other on. I also have my laptop here, which I normally don't have. So there is going to be some live admin, and I have a Sky Sports article that is telling us what each of the 20 clubs are doing.
Oh, excellent.
As it stands right now.
And just for the sake of what we have lead up here, why don't we go through, just talk about what each club we talk about here is doing, and then we'll talk about all the other clubs after the fact.
No, absolutely. Cool. I want to read what it says specifically for Newcastle because it's funny. The majority of non-playing staff in Newcastle have been furloughed. That includes the entire recruitment department. Also very fun.
Fair.
They can't spend any money on players coming in because he doesn't know anything about them. And also their entire academy staff.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Sam.
No problem. That includes the entire recruitment department and the academy staff, the foundation department, plus ground staff. So they're going to come back to a potato patch potentially. And many involved behind the scenes in business and commerce because he doesn't give a shit about any of those either. The managing director, Lee Charnley, remains working full-time but from home, as does the head of communication. But all players and coaching staff remain on full pay.
Yeah, because the head of communication, their job just got really fucking busy.
Yeah. This got pretty goddamn hard.
And I assume he just flat out probably laid off people for Sports Direct, because that's pretty much.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That's cashier jobs and stalker jobs, and unfortunately it's just the way it is. But those are the people that are definitely losing their jobs currently. But also in some instances, for like a sporting goods store, it's not like you're essential to the marketplace. So you'd almost rather, if you're an hourly person, be let go so you can go get unemployment, because otherwise you'd be making 0 hours it wouldn't matter what the fuck the pay rate was. You'd be making $0 fucking because you're putting in 0 fucking hours.
100%.
So what do you think of my thought there? Do you think that that the takeover rumor is simply just that, and he's up to his old tricks again, because it always seems like whenever he wants to do something fucking rancid and wrong and fucked up, he'll get it thrown out there that, oh yeah, there's going to be a takeover, to make everybody pay attention to that and not pay attention to him being a dick.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, 100%. That's he will not sell the club. That's pretty much guaranteed. He's done this each of the last 5 transfer windows, and he started most of those rumors himself. It's just it. I mean, you wrote specifically, is Mike Ashley up to his old tricks again? And plain and simply, yes, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's taken the way out that saves him the most money. And really, it's a financial loophole, but it's kind of dickish to do. You know what I mean? He can afford it. He can afford to pay his players. The club can afford to pay, not the players. I'm sorry, the staff. The club can afford to pay the staff, and instead he's chosen to have them paid at 80% by somebody else instead.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. You know, I mean, it's just it's bad all the way around. But that's how he chooses to run his business. It's a Looney Tunes operation as is, and it just got, you know, kind of dark and dreary on top of that. And it's kind of sad, to be honest with you, but that's, you know, he's an American businessman living in England, basically.
So
he's an Englishman who was trained as an American businessman, because it's greed at the highest level.
Heard.
Let me rephrase that.
So leading into the next team that followed suit, shocker, Tottenham. Again, not surprising, because this club is just notoriously tight with the purse strings. But they did just happen to build a new stadium. And when people go, oh, well, what a great expense of a stadium, you also got to remember they're getting the benefits of a brand new stadium right now currently, too. You know, full sellout of season tickets and people coming to see the stadium, people coming to the gift shop. Like, so, not granted, right now they're not playing soccer or football, forgive me. But it's still... they had the benefits of that. And just Spurs being Spurs, Sammy?
Yeah, well, Daniel Levy being Daniel Levy, he's of the same ilk as Mike Ashley.
Yeah. What does it have to say?
He is one of 550 non-playing staff at Tottenham taking a pay cut to quote-unquote protect jobs amid the coronavirus crisis. Their 2018-2019 accounts published on Companies House showed Daniel Levy earned a £3 million bonus on top of his £4 million salary, delivering the club's new 62,000-seater stadium. So because he got the stadium built, he made £3 million off of it, which I don't really understand that one. But I get whatever. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust has since urged the club's players to take a pay cut.
Yeah,
what this says, which we'll come on to in a bit.
That's exactly what I was. The very next line that I had written is multiple players. I believe it's 5 current players are making over $100,000 a week. And here's my question to you, Sam, and I'll give you my answer when you're done. Is it the player's responsibility to take a pay cut?
No, they are on contract, and that contract needs to be fulfilled. If they would want to donate, if they want to do, you know, what have you, that's their prerogative to do so. But these stadium staff and these people are not employees of the players. They are employees of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And they are not contracted employees in a lot of cases. So legally, they don't need to do anything. Take a pay cut, none of that. The club has to pay the players their wages despite what's going on right now.
Yep.
And it is not their responsibility to pay the stadium staff and the gift shop staff and the, you know, that kind of stuff. That's not, they don't work for them. They work for the club, and the club should be doing the right thing. You mean to tell me runners up in the, not runners up, third place in the league last season, if I remember correctly.
Runners up in the Champions League.
Old Tottenham.
Yep.
Finalists in the Champions League. Yeah, runners up, they finished because they lost to Liverpool. And a big piece of that fat TV deal. And you mean to tell me that you can't afford to pay people for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks? Come on.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing because their TV deal is a little bit more lucrative than others. It's scaled, the TV deal in the Premier League. There's a base that all teams get, but if you're on TV more, you make more money.
And then prize money just in general is divvied up on where you finish.
Precisely. So my thought process on the players is, and some of you may have already heard me rant about this on other occasions, but there's a finite amount of time that a player has value and a finite amount of time in which a player can make a maximum amount of money. It is we who pay the tickets. It's we who support it. And the scale of pay has gone astronomical, but we've supported it all along. And it's what we want as fans, is we want our teams to be the best. We need to keep in mind that these are billionaire owners giving money to millionaire players. Like you said, Sam, if the players want to donate, they want to help, they're more than welcome to. But if they also want to make sure that them and their family are comfortable for the rest of their lives for the short period of time in which they get to have a career, let's face it, 10 years is a long career in professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest of us work careers that last 30, 40 years. They get 10 fucking years.
Yeah, absolutely. Just beyond that, sure, they work every day. They train, right, for 5-6 hours. They play on the weekends. But they don't really get to live their lives necessarily.
And, I mean, it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off for stardom, yes.
No, absolutely. But I'm not talking about stardom. I'm talking about they're on a very regimented diet. They don't drink like they used to. They can't go out and just do what the fuck they want. They're away from their families in a lot of cases, right? They're not home with their families every day. They're, in the case of the top 7 or so. Yeah,
you don't disrupt your child's life. If you lived in the city of Manchester, but you play for a London club, you go live in London while you're playing for the club, and you let your family continue to go to the kids go to the same schools and things like that, because you don't want to fuck up their routine,
Right, and not even just that. I'm saying, Tuesday night you're flying out to go to Ludogorets in, bumfuck Eastern Europe somewhere.
Right.
To play. You fly home Friday morning. Well, now you missed 3 days at home for one game on a Thursday afternoon. You know what I mean? Or Thursday night. There's, you leave Friday night to get up to Newcastle from Bournemouth. So you sleep in a hotel. You don't come home until either late Saturday night, kids already asleep, or Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Like they sacrifice. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
There's a lot more shit. Me and you can go about our lives and never have to run at all if we don't want to.
Right. Well,
they can't live like that. They have to do these things, and you get paid to make those sacrifices, and I'm completely okay with that.
And for those who decide to give towards charity and helping people, I applaud them. But to those who don't, I'm not your finance manager. It's not it's not right.
I don't blame you
either. Like currently, I'm afforded a little bit of luxury to be able to be a little charitable right now and take care of people that are important to me in this, in this time. If this was a few years ago, I might not have been able to, and I would have hate to have been judged for, just because I couldn't at that time. And we don't know what everybody's financial status is. We don't know the Latin player who is shipping home his entire paycheck to make sure that not just his family, but his cousins and aunts and uncles and everyone's being taken care of. We don't know. We don't know what anybody's personal life is.
You also don't know how much of this cash that they make is liquid. They might get a paycheck and invest, 85,000 pound of it. And keep 15,000 pounds for themselves. You know what I mean? You don't know that. Very true. The other thing, and I hate I'm not saying people should not be paid a livable wage. That's not the argument I'm making. But you pay more for talent than you do for menial jobs.
You do.
I can't go out on the football pitch and do what they do. If I could, I'd be making that kind of money. Anybody can ring up someone at a register in the gift shop.
True.
They don't need a 15 million pound contract to do that. So that talent is what's getting you paid for. I don't want this to come off crass. I'm not saying that people don't deserve a livable wage. They do deserve a livable wage.
But looking to the players.
Absolutely. There's no skill involved with the kid at the gift shop doing replica shirts.
The people you should be looking at are the ones that give them the opportunity to work, which is the ownership. So I think
Well,
it's
and,
totally
and
good.
there's the other thing. Those owners, what skill do they have?
They normally
They're,
have done
they're,
well in the business world to get themselves to the
well,
point that
but
they were
that's
able
it.
to buy a new
Anybody
toy.
can do that. Anybody can do that.
Right.
If you teach, anybody can do that.
Yep. No. Well, I mean, it's also, let's face it, this is their toy. A professional football club, to 90% of the owners, they've made their millions and billions someplace else, and this is their toy. This is what.
This is completely their dick waving contest. Absolutely. That's like you remember Jerry Jones and Dan Snyder both getting super yachts in the same summer.
Oh yeah.
But Dan Snyder's was the first one that had an IMAX theater on it.
Yeah, because they needed to do a dick waving contest.
Absolutely.
So
100%. That's just how it goes.
So the next couple of clubs that followed suit were actually smaller clubs. You have Norwich and Bournemouth. In the case of Norwich, well, first off, I just want to say when we talk about these two teams collectively, Sam, do you feel a little bit different about them doing the furloughing as opposed to, say, like Tottenham?
Yeah, because they're such a small club, just in general, and they came up from the championship last season and are, just odds on to go down.
Right, which means
this season,
which means next year there's going to be less staff working the gates. There's going to be less staff in the gift shop. There's going to be less people. There's just going to be less employees next year because there's going to be less money to pay said employees, and there's also going to be less fans in the stands than there were currently.
Now, here's where Norwich saves face.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Norwich have placed their non-playing staff on furlough leave, but have stated they will ensure the club tops up their salaries to make up their full-time wages. Okay. So they've done the furlough, right? So the employees are getting paid 80% of their wages. The club is going to pick up that 20% and make sure they don't miss a beat.
So that they don't have to.
It saves them the cash. Something like this, when they don't have the match day revenue to these types of clubs, is huge. And if they don't have that match day revenue, when they go down, it's going to be fuck all next summer. There'll be a bare bones staff they're working with.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And that is exactly where I was going to lean into the next club, Bournemouth. We, since we've been doing the show and since heck we've, for the past, 4 or 5 years now, Bournemouth has been in the Premier League. But a lot of people don't know this. This is one of the smallest clubs in the country. Like there are teams in League One who are of the same size as Bournemouth. Bournemouth is not a huge club. I think
Bournemouth has the smallest ground in the Premier League as well.
Yes, they do. So for somebody like them, and the fact that they're in trouble doesn't particularly help. But I feel like that's a kind of club where you kind of look at it and you go, I don't necessarily feel that bad about them necessarily doing the furloughing. What does it say for them, Sam, in your report?
The club have furloughed 50 members of their staff, but they are committed to paying their salaries in full. So it seems as if, even though they didn't say it explicitly, that they're going to pick up that 20% also.
Uh-huh.
But manager Eddie Howe has taken a voluntary pay cut, as has his assistant Jason, technical director Richard Hughes, and their chief executive Neil Blake have all taken voluntary pay cuts.
Okay. Again, their prerogative to do so,
Right. Like I said, legally, they are contracted employees. So once that contract is there, as long as there is no breach, you have to pay that, legally have to pay that contract.
Yeah. All that being said, if I was the gaffer of a Premier League club, I would definitely be giving up some of my wages to make sure that employees got paid. Because I feel it would be the right thing to do. But it's also, that's my own personal decision to make. The next guy doesn't have to do that.
No, absolutely. And if you look at what happened in the NBA when they started suspending stuff here, the only owner that I saw was Mark Cuban. Came out and said, I'm going to pay the stadium workers, right, what they would have made for every game we miss, right? I'm going to pay them for what our schedule was, the days they would have worked. For other teams, players were saying, I think Carmelo Anthony did for the Knicks, along with another teammate. I think somebody else did in Atlanta. The players were actually going to go and pay the wages of the stadium workers, and the owners are just sitting back there, eating shrimp cocktail and wanking off.
All right.
Fuckers, man. And good on the players. I mean, well done to you. That's a very nice thing to do. But, what dickheads? You know what I mean?
So this next one, follow along if you will. This is going to be a mouthful of stuff to say. And then the champions of fucking Europe take the kickback, confirming why we all 1,000% hate fucking Liverpool. And then, don't wait. 2 hours later, 2 hours earlier today, they go, oh, no, wait. Everybody gave us a bunch of shit. We're sorry. We're not doing it now. Damage is already done, isn't it, Sammy? I mean, that's a bad fucking look.
All right, so let's see. This. Liverpool have refused the government's furlough scheme to pay non-playing club staff, apologizing to fans for coming to the wrong conclusion, quote unquote. The club had planned to use the scheme to pay around 100 of those staff members whose work had been affected by the suspension of the Premier League, a move which was criticized by former players and Sky Sports pundit, I believe, Jamie Carragher, and Dietmar Hamann, the old German guy. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous to me. The Fenway Sports Group have hand over fist had record profits in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
and that's after paying for Naby Keita, Fabinho, Mohamed Salah when they brought him in, Sadio Mane from Southampton. That's after spending all this. They have recorded record profits. And
this past year was 45 million was for their fiscal year, 45 million in profit.
And what would it cost you? What do you think it would cost you for stadium staff for 12 weeks, even extended 4 months, 16 weeks? What do you think? $1 million?
I'd say 10 million at the most. Yeah, let's say 10
I think
million.
that's generous.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I think that's generous. I think it's a little ridiculous. I think it would cost them maybe $1.5 million, $2 million. And they couldn't do that. John Henry couldn't take a fucking a cut to his pay for 6 months. He's a billionaire. It's ridiculous to me. A club of this stature, a club of this size, a club that's known for taking care of their own. You think of what they did at the Heysel Stadium tragedy in Hillsborough and all of those different things. You think what's been the way it's supposed to in tradition and folklore huddle around themselves and come together as a community. And this is how they choose to handle this bullshit? Come on.
This is also the same club that has evicted people from around properties around the stadium, forcing them out at a cheap price just so they can rebuild the stadium and make it bigger and bigger and bigger too. So there's a thing with people from Liverpool, and this includes Evertonians as well, typically nicknamed Scousers. And a lot of people from the Liverpool area will say they're Scousers before they're Englishmen. And this kind of, us against the world mentality. And then your major club takes a fucking kickback from the government. What does that say about you if you're, quote, Scousers, not Englishmen? Like, just kind of off-putting. And I mean, for all the goodwill that they built up for themselves as far as being media darlings this year and having a very, very good season, I personally think it's all tarnished now. I mean, Corona was already killing it, for if they wanted, it would be a tainted season. I think now it's tarnished even more because people aren't going to be rooting for them, other than obviously, Liverpool supporters.
I completely agree with you. I don't know that this has much to do in terms of tarnishing the Premier League as much as it does tarnishing Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah,
just as an institution.
Well, the key,
I think the league itself has already been tarnished, falling out of the FA Cup, the League Cup, falling out of the Champions League as they did, and they did lose in the last round of the FA Cup, didn't they? It feels like ages ago now.
Lost to Chelsea.
Yeah, but so now being out of those three cup competitions as well, it doesn't. doesn't have the same stardom. I mean, that in and of itself is already tarnished. If they decide to just end the league and give it to them because they will 99.9% win it, it'll tarnish it even further. But I think that's the only thing that can further tarnish the league championship itself.
Just the club itself. You feel the allure of the club is tarnished because of this.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I as much as I hate them as a club, watching what happened at Hillsborough, and every year on the anniversary, which is coming up soon. And rightly so, everybody coming together. Your boys get involved even. Yep. Everyone standing outside the steps of the club and singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" when the Yorkshire Police Department finally said, yeah, we covered it up. It was a problem with security. It was a problem with ticketing. It was us that did it. It was our fault. And Evertonians and Liverpoolians alike stood there together singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" outside of Anfield during the press conference.
Yeah.
Just what happened in Turkey at Heysel against Juventus when the wall collapsed and killed a bunch more supporters. Just they always rally around each other. It has this folklore of being bigger than
I'm gonna debate that one because that's the one that got England all kicked out of European competition, aka us out of fucking European competition because they started the riot. That's one they started.
But people still lost their lives. Football supporters still lost their lives. And my point is the club circled around those family members, and the club came together as a community organization. And then they do the housing thing, which I think is more Fenway.
Right.
Not having ties to the community, not giving a shit, as opposed to Liverpool Football Club. But this is a specific to the chairman that's there, boots on the ground every day running the club. Oh, yeah, let's take the handout. Fuck that. Like, it goes against everything that Liverpool's supposed to stand for. It's, you'll never walk alone unless coronavirus hits, and then you guys can fuck right off.
Yeah.
So maybe they're going to deserve
it doesn't make
the
any
asterisk.
sense.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're saying.
It's just that to me, that it's bullshit, in my opinion. That this should have never fucking happened. You know what I mean? They should have, we'll pay you double because of what's going on. We'll pay for your mom's cremation because she died from this. Yeah, that's what Liverpool is supposed to do. That's what their tradition is of circling around the community and protecting their own, which is great, fine. But then you can't turn around and do this and expect to have the same oomph in the community. It's ridiculous to me.
Well, I think it's very well pointed out that since they decided to take this money, they've admitted they're a smaller club. Got you mid-drink on that one.
You did get a drink on that one.
All right, so I want you to kind of recap the highlights of people, but the one that I definitely want to bring up right off the bat is I know that there's one club that has flat out come out and said, we are paying everybody no matter fucking what. And we give them a hard time all the time because, well, they are who they fucking are. But Manchester United flat out came out and said, yeah, we're paying everyone. No, don't even worry about this furlough. Nope. Everybody's getting paid. And they're the wealthiest club in the world and can afford to do that. But it was nice to see that they just immediately came out and said, we're going to put this to rest right now.
Well, I'm gonna call out both Manchester clubs because City have confirmed they will not be furloughing any of their non-playing staff. And United unequivocally said they will not be using the government's furlough scheme to protect 900 full-time members of staff during the current pandemic. In an email addressed to those affected, Chief Executive Ed Woodward, for all of his dickheadery over the last couple of years, confirmed that the club would instead continue to pay all employees as if they were working as usual.
Good on
So
them.
no pay cut, no nothing. We're just going to cut you your check. You stay home and be safe. That's well done. There is nothing from Manchester City. All they said is they're not furloughing. So I don't know if they're cutting wages. I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
But they are going to continue to pay people, which is commendable. That's the way to go. United, on the other hand, is paying them in full as if they worked.
Yeah. So, Sammy, tell me about your boy Kroenke. What's he doing over there at Arsenal?
So apparently, discussions are ongoing between the club and players over wages. However, this will not be straightforward due to the fact that the players are on different contracts. No decisions have yet been made on furloughing staff. But the club has said that they will continue to pay all employees as if they were working as usual. So no pay cut, no nothing. We're just going to cut you your check. You stay home and be safe. That's well done. There is nothing from Manchester City. All they said is they're not furloughing. All they said is they're not furloughing. any change will go hand in hand with what is decided with the players. Casual staff, like stewards, the people that sit on the side and stop Everton pitch invaders from running onto Chelsea.
Yep.
Will be paid in full until April 30th.
Got it.
And those types of people are game day only. So they're being paid as if there was a game. That's it.
Yeah, so they may miss a game, essentially miss a game or two.
Yeah. So club employees are being paid at the moment, and we'll see what happens when the players decide what to do.
Heard. How about
which again, I don't understand what that has to do with anything.
How about my boy Marishi? What's he doing with Everton?
Everton are not taking advantage. It's a funny way to. It's kind of like a backhanded. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Of course, because and if Liverpool would have stuck with doing the furlough, somehow the press up there would have figured out a way to make it sound like Everton are the villains and Liverpool are the heroes for doing it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you. I'll take my blue-colored glasses off again.
This opening statement just sounds to me like I got a coupon in my pocket, but I'm not going to use it. You know what I mean? Everton are not taking advantage of the government's furlough scheme and currently have no plans to do so. They are also committed to paying all directly engaged match day and not match day casual workers unable to work. So they're going to keep paying them. Regarding wage cuts and deferrals for players, the club is awaiting the outcome of discussions between the Premier League and the union, the players' union. At this time, all players and staff remain on full pay.
No.
And Mushari's got the money.
Yeah, and for the most part, I mean, I can't recant everything that they've been doing, but there's been a lot of in the community work that Everton has been doing so far with people. Like, I mean, even if it's just as simple as Bill Kenwright calls up and talks to someone's mom for a half an hour because she's all by herself at her house. Just
right.
Little dumb things, which is, I mean, that's a lot of what Everton is too, is kind of the redheaded stepchild of the city, even though it's blue.
Right, yeah.
But they tend to be a little bit more active in the community than say Liverpool is, and that's also Liverpool's prerogative. I would say there has been some talk amongst players. A few players have come out and said, we're trying to figure out something to do collectively, which is probably the smart way to go about doing it. You go through the union, and the union goes, "Okay, everybody, we're going to give up 5% of our pay," or we'll scale it. Someone on the minimum is only giving up 1%, but someone on $100,000 a week is giving up 10%. Whatever.
Well, the other thing they could do too is completely defer until we play the games.
Right, precisely.
So where I wouldn't normally get paid during the summer at all until preseason started, if we move the games then, I won't get paid now, and then pay me on June 10th when I play Villa.
Right, or I'm getting paid now, and when I played Villa on June 10th, I'm not getting paid. Right, it's pretty simple. Now, the one last question, and we'll wrap this topic up because we've still got a few other things to get to. Financial fair play. This has quite a bit of bearing, really, for two clubs in particular. Both myself and producer Mel, with both of our clubs kind of being looked at, right? And over the last few years, Everton's lost about $100 million in money. They haven't been particularly profitable, and a lot of it's salary. They're doing the best they can as far as game day gates go. But let's say a team like Everton or a team like Villa does not take a furlough, and thus eating that cost, that is more money they're going to lose, and they aren't going to be able to make that money back. Should financial fair play still apply, or should there be extenuating circumstances, or should it be handled on a case-by-case basis?
I don't know in terms of non-playing staff. I don't, and coaching staff. I don't know what in that situation actually counts and doesn't count towards financial fair play. Because, like, apparently upgrading your facilities doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay.
So Mushari can go out and spend $6 billion if he wants on a new training facility, and that has fuck all to do with financial fair play, because it's not. He can put his own money into that. If
Salaries v profitability is essentially
right,
what
and
it
then
is.
the buying and selling of players
Right.
versus profitability.
Right.
Exactly. So, and then it's playing staff wages, coaching staff wages, which I don't even know if the coaching staff goes against it for real. First off, financial fair play is very convoluted, which is why we can't fully figure it out, and we've been dealing with it for 4 years now.
Right.
Longer than that, to be honest, about 8 years now. And so I'm not sure where and if that comes into play. They will have to make some sort of exception for playing staff wages at this point, because there's no match day revenue. And it's out of the club's control. It's not like they couldn't fulfill their fixtures.
Right.
This was the government telling them, "Fuck you, you're not playing."
Well, and the rest of their fixtures could very well be played behind closed doors, so there's loss of revenue.
Right.
Because what they're going to have to do, if they close the stadium, they're going to have to give that ticket money back to the ticket holder, that, or they're going to have to do something like, I know some other clubs, like lower league clubs, have already said, hey, look, you gave us the money for this season. If they end up getting played behind closed doors, by the way, your next season's already on us. Like, they just,
right. Well, the other thing too is they may have to pay some of the TV money back.
Right.
If they don't fulfill the season, that's been threatened already. by Sky and a couple others.
Which one would argue TV should be doing just fucking fine right now? TV should be doing better than fine right now. What all do we have to do right now? We can go out and take a walk, or we can let the warm, comfortable glow of the television set subdue us into a nice, settled coma.
You're absolutely right. But the thing, like, I paid, right? I'm NBC or Sky Sports or whoever. I wrote you a fucking check to show me Premier League games. Where are the Premier League games?
Right.
That's a breach of contract. That contract says you have 5 Premier League games for me every weekend, and right now you're not doing that.
Right.
So we either want a rebate, we want a discount on next season, or give them a fucking money back, man.
Well, which you figure there'll be a rebate. Oh, there'll be. I mean, not a rebate, but
that's not just for England. That's for everybody. That's for La Liga. That's for Italy.
Right. I'll say next season there'll be some discounts, right, to make sure you get people in. But I mean, let's face it. Okay, a subscription to NBC Gold for us costs about $60 if you buy it at the start of the season. $59.99 thereabouts. They could argue you had access to every single Premier League game all the way up into that point, and you got 2/3 of the season. Now, the truth being told is I'm not watching the rest of that unless if I was like, for me, I do a podcast, so I do watch those games. But to the average Joe Schmo fan, Arsenal fan, they only have NBC Gold to watch Arsenal play 4 fucking times out of the season on NBC Gold. That's all that is all they fucking care about. It's the only reason why
we haven't been in the Champions League. We're not on TV time either anymore.
Right. Fair enough. But for somebody like me, like, I need Gold because I'm only on TV when I'm playing a big club. That is it. Or unless
you're on TV
the morning game.
Times a year.
Yeah, I'm either the morning game or the 12 o'clock, the night game. If I'm one of those games, then sure, I'm on TV. But for the most part, I'm not on TV. So
I'm with it. No, I understand what you're saying.
But let's say, what is that inherent cost, right? Like, what is it? Maybe $5 to me cost, like what it costs them to provide me with that service, and they're already making $55 off of me. It's affordable for them. They can roll it back and go, oh, okay, hey, because of what happened last year, it's $49.99 this year instead. I think I got a bargain, and they're still making profitability. They're just not making as high of a profitability.
Right. And I'm not saying to us. I'm saying to the clubs that reap the hundreds of millions of pounds.
Yeah.
And to us, they can also say, hey, we gave you greatest goals from every season from 2009. There was content. You pay for content. We gave you content. You get the Golf Channel. You get this. You get that. All those other things as well.
I will say at least NBC did give me a replay of the 2013 Merseyside derby where Kevin Morelish kicked the ever-loving shit out of Luis Suarez, and it was brilliant. So we've got a couple of quick things here. First off, really not much to say, but just a sad story, and it bears being mentioned. Manchester City's gaffer, Pep Guardiola, unfortunately lost his mother she passed away at the age of 82 and from complications from COVID.
That's very sad that.
Well, and what's tough is we have to remember in this situation is everyone's isolated. So he's in England. His grandmother is in fucking. I'm sorry. His mother is in.
Is in Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona.
Meresa Barcelona.
Forgive me.
Her name was Dolores Salacarrio.
Forgive me there. I just saw producer Mel throw off the headphones and run out of the room because Jamie Vardy, the fox is up by the coop again. So I think she's going out there to fuck with the fox. So
well,
I have a feeling my wife. It's about 8:30 at night on Monday here, and I have a feeling my wife is going to be up all night long with the BB gun in the backyard and the flashlight as soon as we're done recording the show.
Well, that's what happens when it's a beautiful 70 degrees outside today.
Yeah.
The wildlife likes to take a walk.
Yeah. So, not that one person's mother is more important than another person's mother, but it's a hell of a note for Pep that he's not able to go be there by her side, and I know. I mean, it's tough for each of us to talk about, but Sam, I was by my father's side when he passed away. I was by my mother's side when she passed away. You were by your father's side when he passed away. You at least, you and your dad and my dad, we both found our fathers dead. But
yes.
but we were there. Imagine losing a loved one and
you
not
can't even get home. You
can't fucking be there. Like, you can't have a funeral. You can't do anything, and it's being noted because it's one of the most successful managers in football history, but this is happening to a lot of people, and it's really sad to hear, and it just makes your heart break when you see a story like this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's terrible. Of course, Everton, Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, everybody's wishing him well and doing the right thing there. Actually, I have something here from Liverpool that says, we were still going to beat you to the title, but if it's any consolation, we're very sorry about your mom. Oh, sorry about that. We really meant to say deepest condolences from everybody at Liverpool. Our thoughts are with Pep and his family.
Yeah, probably Jurgen Klopp going, "Let me lick your tears. Let me lick your tears, Pep."
Yeah, right. Absolutely. It is very sad. Is producer Mel back yet?
No. She's still running amok. So we still got a few more things to talk. We still got a few more things to talk about.
Zombie land outside.
Yeah. Well, it's by the way, everybody, thank you very much for kind of dealing with us. We're figuring this out as we go along. This is our first time doing a show like this.
Yeah. But however, it is imperative to both the show and just your guys' household that Kitty the chicken remains safe.
Fuck yeah.
And if Jamie Vardy's up there lurking,
well, you know what? He doesn't take breakups easily, man. He does not take breakups easily. He's up there pining after her.
That's right.
So the next little thing that I had for you too was we actually got a question, like I said before, from our boy Keith, our Newcastle supporter in Baltimore, which is nice because at least we're getting a question. And I need to pull up his photo here, his email. And he's also throwing in a little bit of pot shots here too. So, you ready?
I'm prepared.
Assuming the alleged Newcastle Football Club takeover isn't total BS, which we both believe it is completely total BS, to deflect from
100%.
Mike Ashley's most recent PR disaster, do we think the owner would retain Steve Bruce? Should they? Has his performance as a manager earned him a second season? I believe they're terribly lucky that the rest of the league stinks and that he has failed to develop a few talented players, St. Maximin and Almiron, to name a few, into a relevant attack. I'd like to hear your opinion. By the way, hope this was short enough for you. All right, so Keith, here's the bit. All right,
That's
so Keith,
a dig.
so
That's a dig.
well, I'm gonna dig back. Keith, here's what you need to do. You're getting better at the emails. Just ask the fucking question. Don't need your conjecture. You can go ahead and conjecture with us via all of our social medias, and we'll be more than glad to talk back and forth with you. Sam, aren't we always checking our DMs, as you like to say?
Always. Slide right in, man. We're there.
Oh, so, all right. So let's go ahead and talk about this, and then we've got a very special segment when we do prediction time. Do you think if a new ownership takes over, do you think Steve Bruce has done enough to save his job?
No, because it's not Steve Bruce doing it.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
That's exactly the answer. It's not Steve Bruce.
Steve Bruce found Rafa's tactic book and successfully washed off enough throw up from Mike Ashley. He found that tactic book that Rafa tried to burn on the way out in the fireplace that Ashley puked into.
Mm-hmm.
He managed to salvage enough pages to what are they, 11th?
Yes.
12th?
No, they're 12th, I believe. Everton is 11th, or no, they're 13th and Everton is 12th. It goes Everton, Newcastle, Southampton.
They're 13th.
Yeah.
They're 13th. Yeah. He's done enough and salvaged enough pages. I'm sorry, from that book. And Saint Maximin and Almiron have done enough to keep them afloat. I think Darius Vassell's and a few others have just kind of looked at him and gone, "Hey, mate, fuck off. We got this, okay?
Yeah.
We're just going to take care of it defensively, and you worry about them up there."
Schär.
And
Schär back there.
Fabian Schär, yeah,
we're
absolutely.
going to take over. We got this.
So I don't think he's really doing a whole lot, to be completely honest with you. I remember we joked about it a lot. There was one pre-match. I can't remember who they were playing, but Steve Bruce was a little late to the touchline because he was watching the cricket in the dressing room.
Yep. Now, let's say the takeover doesn't happen. Does Ashley keep Bruce or does Ashley chop him? Because, frankly, he gave him lots of offensive weapons and he has done nothing with them offensively. I mean, the biggest one would be Joe Linton.
Shit about that.
You know,
Mike Ashley don't give a shit about that.
Okay, fair enough.
Now,
I think he might fire him. I think he might fire him and try to get another manager in.
Here's the thing. Mike Ashley would prefer if you develop these players so he could sell them on. But let's be honest, he bought them on the cheap anyway. So if they're a bust, they don't matter.
Well, I mean,
they're all low risk players.
On the cheap being relative, they were like in the case of Almiron, that's a club record signing, and then Joe Linton after that was a club record signing, but of like $30 million, not of a lot of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're relatively low risk. $20 million is nothing nowadays.
Right, and that's their.
Although it was only 1/30th of his Belgian tax bill, though.
Ah, there you go. So, the last little bit that I've got for you here, Sammy, is I had told you I watched the Everton Liverpool Merseyside derby from 2013 that was on NBC Sports this past Sunday. Ended in a 3-3 draw. It was one where Liverpool went up early. Everton tied. Liverpool went up 2-1. Everton tied, made it 2-2, and then Everton took the lead with at about the 85-minute mark. It was on a brace from Romelu Lukaku, and then right at the end, Daniel Sturridge as a sub came on and got a header on a free kick and tied it up 3-3. The big talking point of that was, though, is that game had a serious tackle from Kevin Morales on Luis Suarez. Yeah, where he flat out kicked him in the knee. Now, for those of you that are Everton and Liverpool fans, you know that was retaliation from the FA Cup semifinal the season before, where Everton was controlling the bulk of the first half, and on a random corner, Luis Suarez just walked over and went ahead and took a hunk out of Kevin Morales' leg when nobody was looking, and then Morales got subbed out and subsequently ended up losing the game. Not that I think that was the direct result of it. I think Sylvain Distin deciding to pass it to Luis Suarez running towards the goal was probably the ultimate defining moment of why they lost that game. But what's funny is VAR. If VAR was around back then, they would have definitely, like, just watching that foul again from Morales, there's no doubt about it. It is studs up in the knee like a diving karate kick. No doubt about it.
No, absolutely it was. Sorry, whiskey got me a little bit there.
No worries.
No, it 100% was. So we always make mention of the old school English tackles and those sorts of things, right?
Right.
How much has football gotten softer just in the last 7 years?
Oh my God, a ton.
Ton. Looking at that, in the 70s, that wouldn't even have been a foul necessarily. You know what I mean?
There's a 50-50 ball. They're both going for it.
Yeah. Maybe it would have been a regular foul and that's it.
Yeah.
In the 2010s, I guess it's a yellow.
So I only
now it would have been a red if he sneezed on the way through, he'd have got 8 matches.
Yeah. So I only bring that up to bring up the following point that apparently if the league comes back and they go to playing in closed stadiums, there is talk that there will not be any VAR because at the VAR production studios, they are unable to practice social distancing. So how fucking great would that be, Sam? They can't have VAR because they can't have the 4 guys in the fucking booth around each other.
It'd be brilliant. That'd be absolutely brilliant. You know what? That would literally be the best thing that came out of the coronavirus.
It's time to tell you what little we know. It is prediction time.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I know a lot.
Okay, you got your bet right.
Slutsk won.
Oh, way to go! And where exactly is where is Slutsk located? And don't say Belarus.
They're in Belarusia.
the township of Slutsk. That's where they're at. All right.
Up the Slutsk. Sorry.
Heard. Believe it or not,
they won 3-2. 10-man Slutsk. Thank you.
There you go. You're not going to believe this, but our boy found another fucking league to bet on this week.
Uh-oh.
And now it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
Weird Wild World of Sports. In this week edition of sports from other parts of the world I can bet on, we have Nicaragua Primera Division. I'm just guessing here. I think it's in Central America. The Nicaragua Primera Division.
Oh.
I'm just guessing here, but I think it's in Central America. Since I am just gambling here, let's parlay Jalapa versus Sabanas over 2.5 goals for a -110 with Jalapas to win for +115. So a $50 bet wins 55. And he pushed last week since no one looked it up. No, we weren't going to look it up. I totally was relying on you. So sorry for not joining on Saturday, but was very hungover from the night before. Yeah, I don't know if he could manage to put it in 2 nights of box wine in a row now, could he?
At least.
All right, so we need to go ahead and figure out, because while through the magic of radio will be edited a little bit here, but we did talk about this while you were away. We happen to mention, go ahead and cue her music. We see producer Mel throw her earphones off of her head and run out the fucking house. We got to find out. We know Jamie Vardy been hanging around the coop. You got to tell us what's going on with Kitty.
So, since I was sitting here, I just decided to look out the window and saw the tail of a fox.
Uh-oh.
Lit up the lights and did a path around the coop.
Did it have Tito's and Red Bull with it?
Well, that was earlier when we were taking a break. And then while y'all were talking, I looked up again out of the corner of my eye. Coop lights go off. This time, the fox is now next to the edge and is now doing a lap around the coop trying to figure out how to get in.
Oh, did you chase it away?
And by the time I got out there, as soon as I heard me open the door, I did chase it away, but I discovered sitting up on the hill behind the coop, that is where the family of deer are now sleeping.
Oh, okay.
So in the dark with my flashlight and my BB gun, I did see a pair of eyes. I pull my gun, I have it ready to fire, and fortunately, I noticed it was our friendly deer.
Oh, man.
So I am on the lookout. That is now 4 times Jamie fucking Vardy has been hanging around the coop, and it's starting to get a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I've already told everybody, but I could go ahead and say this to you now, Mel, since you're here. I understand I'm going to be sleeping alone tonight, as you will be out on the porch the entire night with your gun. You are not going to be able to... This show isn't going up until midday tomorrow because she's not going to produce the show till tomorrow morning because she is going to be all about that fucking fox.
Fucking foxes. Brody and I were just texting, asking me about how the fox has been doing.
That's right. So does Kitty have any idea of the Nicaraguan or the Belarusian Premier League?
I did ask her earlier when we were hanging out. She is not a fan of the Russian league because of some sort of dirty deal that went down once upon a time. So she doesn't watch that. But I believe it was her that tipped off Pat. So I think they both have a thing going.
But it's not the Russian league.
The Belarusian league.
Junior. It's the Belarusian league.
She doesn't care. She doesn't
had a
care.
slip of tongue. But I would also say
Junior.
I would also imagine she's probably going to be a little bit more busy trying to get herself a restraining order.
Well, I haven't said my bet yet for next weekend.
Okay, what's your bet for next weekend? As I
'Cause
gave
you're
us gave us a perfect close for a segment, but go ahead. What is your bet,
know.
Sam? Please give us your bet.
Well, this is the segment, isn't it?
Go ahead.
God damn it. Now you made me push a button because I got angry.
Uh-huh.
Now you know how I
Hold
feel.
on.
I was going to say, now
All
you
right.
know how I feel.
All right. I'm going to ride the sluts train. We're plus 110 playing Vitebsk. FC Slutsk versus Vitebsk. Plus 110 FC Sluts to win. Bang. That's it.
Riveting. Is there anything else?
Thank
you
you
gotta
for
add?
letting me complete the betting segment where I actually placed the bet.
Hey, I have a bet, Sam.
What's that?
I bet you're not going to get the last word in.
Probably not.
Nope.
All right, nothing to talk about DU. We're already over an hour. She's got a shit ton to do. So, Sammy, any parting words?
I do have real quick parting words because you were very rude as we talked about our clubs and what they were doing to their people. You neglected to talk about Aston Villa. They are also continuing to pay their players and staff their full wages. They are awaiting the outcome of talks between the PFA and the Premier League to decide what they're going to do after that.
And Jack Grealish is finally staying home.
Anything else you need to say, Sam?
Good night.
No, because you'll say it again in about 30 seconds.
Nope. Nope. I'm not this time. Fuck you. Good night.
Alrighty. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us, boys and girls. We'll sure be back here next week to do this all over again, and hopefully not in such a train track of a manner. Next up is going to be Injury Time, which is just us doing a little bit of bullshitting. We're actually going to try to keep this a little more soccer related. The last one we did a whole bunch about Joe Exotic, and then the one before that, I think we just kind of randomly talked about bullshit in general. And then we had the big questionnaire one. We need to do another questionnaire one. That's pretty good. So, Sammy, guess what? You have to talk again. Tell everybody how they can find out about Injury Time.
No, I said good night. I'm done.
You can find Injury Time.
You can find us
Patreon.
at www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow. There are multiple tiers, and you get pretty cool shit, in my opinion, on each one. So find that at patreon.com/DUfootballshow. And I know the times are hard right now, but do what you can afford. And you may have a sticker coming to you, but you'll definitely have a lot of extra content.
Excellent. So till next week, everybody, for the Sandy Gino over there, Samuel Graham, I'm Sam Houston. Bye.
Are we clear?
Yeah, we're clear.